doing roll call electronically as people are joining the meeting. So
Great, thank you. The next one on our agenda, approve of the minutes from April 26. We have two sets of minutes. The first one for the session one, and also we have a minutes for the session two. So I would like invite you guys to review both sets of minutes, and then any comments, question, correction, please let us know. Okay, so any question, comments, correction for the minutes? If not, I would like to have someone to move it. Two sets together.
I'll move that we accept the minutes for both meetings.
Thank you, Mike. Senator Mike Eichelsz. Anyone second? Okay, and Senator Delana second. So we're going to do voice vote.
yes, so I will, for those that have not done this yet, because of challenges for voting on an online format, we'll be doing a voice vote. I'll call your name and you will say yay, nay, or abstain. And please forgive me if I do a bad job with your name. So starting with the vote to approve the minutes, Mike Eichelsz.
Yay.
Maxim Khalid. All right, myself is yay. Lee Cheng Wong.
Yeah.
Scott Gilbert.
Yay.
Michael Hyland. Elaine Jerkowski. Yuting Lee.
Yeah,
Stacy McKinney.
Yay.
Jennifer Sherry.
Abstain.
Grant Miller.
Yay.
Ying Chen.
Yay.
Farhan Chowdhury.
Yay.
Arash Kamai.
Yay.
Torres Gonzalez.
Yay.
Sung Hee Lee.
Yay.
Walter Metz. And Jay is not
Oh.
here today. Oh, sorry. Walter Metz. Okay.
Here, sorry.
Oh, you're fine. We are voting on the minutes. Okay.
I approve the minutes.
Okay, we will put you down as a yay. Patrick McGrath.
Yay.
Jeffrey Punsky. Joe Shremmett. Lorelei Ritchie.
Yay.
Eric Black. Lizbeth Dalala. Oh, sorry, Eric Black.
Hello.
Hi, we're voting on the minutes to approve the minutes from the last the last two meetings of the Senate.
Okay.
Are you a yay, a nay, or
Yay.
an abs? Okay, thank you. Lizbeth Dalala.
Yay.
Diana Sarko.
Yay.
Amy Bro.
Yay.
Robert Broomfield.
Yay.
Amanda Pangrazio.
Yay.
Mike Phillips.
Abstain.
Julie Tate.
Yay.
And Cherry Watson.
Yay.
Right, thank you.
thank you. So the minutes are approved. And I got a message from Provost Kumarachio. She will be late. until 1 or 1:30 or 2 o'clock. So to make best use of time, I would like to slightly modify the agenda with a motion and vote from you guys. And I propose to move agenda item 7B to the front of item 5. That means after president report. So I need a motion to. So Provost Kumaraja cannot be here until 1:30 or 2 o'clock. So
I'll move, we modify the agenda as described.
Second.
thank you. So we need to have a vote. Bethany?
Give me 1 second. I have to record who made the motion and who seconded. So that was Mike made the motion,
Yeah.
Correct.
and then Jennifer.
Yes.
Okay, give me 1 second. All right, and again, this is I apologize. I was sort of in the middle of trying to get some stuff down. Can you rephrase the motion for me? Restate the motion,
Okay.
just so I have it in my records.
We are going to move item 7B to front of item 5.
Okay,
That means after item
Yep.
4.
all right, so we will have another voice vote to move item 7B ahead of item 5.
Yeah, before item 5, after
Right.
item 4.
Gotcha. All right, on to a vote. Mike Eccles,
Yay.
Mexam Khalid,
Yay.
myself, yay. Li Ching Wang,
Yeah.
Scott Gilbert,
Yay.
Michael Hyland,
Yay.
Elaine Jarkowski, Yu-Ting Lee,
Yeah,
Stacy McKinney,
Yay.
Jennifer Sherry,
Yay.
Grant Miller,
Yay.
Ying Chen,
Yay.
Farhan Chaudhry,
Yay.
Arash Kamai. Arash Kamai. Torres Gonzalez,
Yay.
Sung Hee Lee,
Yay.
Walter Metz,
Yay.
Patrick McGrath,
Yay.
Jeffrey Punsky, Joe Shremick. I don't think they're here. Lorelei Ritchie,
Yay.
Eric Black. Eric Black. Elizabeth Dalala,
Yay.
Diana Sarko,
Yay.
Amy Bro,
Yay.
Robert Broomfield,
Yay.
Amanda Pangrazio,
Yay.
Mike Phillips,
Yay.
Julie Tate,
Yay.
and Cherry Watson.
Yay.
Great, thank you. So the motion passes.
thank you. Okay,
Oh, yeah, do you want me to go ahead?
yes.
Okay,
Hold on. I think I need to report first, then you.
okay, yeah, okay.
Okay. Good afternoon. The next one on our agenda, the president report. Good afternoon, everyone. As usual, our April issues of faculty senate updates and FIY went out to all faculty members last month. In addition, I have several business matters to report to you briefly. First, I'm very humbled and honored to serve as the faculty senate president in 2022 and 2023. But I wish to express my appreciation to Senator George Remick for his outstanding service and great academic leadership. I know George is traveling to England for study abroad. I appreciate Professor George Remick's collaboration and support. I respect George tremendously. Second, By working with Josh Frick and Bethany Rader, we first elected our committee on committee co-chairs on April 28th. That is Dr. Inan Jogovsky and Dr. Seung-Hee Lee. And third, a list of nominees of chairs and co-chairs for all standing committee were identified and also went through the process by each standing committee. And they are Dr. George Remick and Dr. Walter Metz, that's the UPEC co-chair, and budget committee co-chair, co-chairs, Dr. Michael Eikos and Dr. Farhan Chowdhury, and faculty status and welfare co-chair, Professor Jennifer Sherry and Professor Scott Gibbard. And governance committee co-chair, Professor Patrick McRose and Professor Khalid Maxim. They are all subject to the approval of our faculty senator today. Number 4, I attended SIU President presentation on the SIU System Strategic Plan on April 29th. On May 1st, I was invited to give a presentation to a group of the SIU retired faculty members. We discussed shared governance, faculty research, faculty support, and faculty hires, students enrollment, and the SIUC strategic plan. Also on April 2nd, I attended the EOC, Emergency Operating Center meetings about the COVID-19 mask requirement and other safety issues in summer and in fall on campus. On May 4th, I went to Professor Xiao's final court hearing with a group of other faculty members and students. I especially acknowledge Professor Edward Binyas and Professor Anne Fletcher's tremendous support for Professor Xiao's case. They will give us update very soon today. Finally, both Professor George Remick and I served as the Grand Marshals on Saturday, May 7th at the SIU commencement. We thank so many faculty members for attending the commencement on Saturday. It was a great success. Thank you. Any questions, comments? Okay. If no question, no comment, I will ask Bethany to report on the election and also election of the faculty senator secretary.
Thank you. So for our, if you recall my last update, we still had 5 seats to fill in the Senate. We have sent out special election notifications to those voting units for which we need those senators. And from those 5, we have received nominations from 3 of them. So you should be getting, if you're of those units, you should be getting a email today for voting on those nominees. That means we'll still have 2 openings. And since we're all going off contract here shortly, we will resume with another special election to fill those 2 seats in the fall. Now, in terms of officer elections, we still have to elect a secretary for the Senate. And we have one nominee for that, Julie Tate. You should have received her information with the email about this meeting. And although there's only one nominee, we still, the operating paper says we do officer elections by secret ballot. So we will be sending out a SurveyMonkey link in the chat. So those persons that are senators, member of the Senate, can vote on that. Guests and administration cannot vote using that link. And if you have a question about whether you are eligible to vote, please send a message to either myself or to Josh Frick. So Josh, if you can add that to the chat, that link to the chat. If you could take the next about 10 minutes and log your vote in, we will look at those vote tallies at the end of that 10 minutes. So that is all I have. Thank you.
Okay, only the eligible senator to vote. If you are a guest, please do not click that link. All right. Are you, Bethany, are you done?
I'm done unless anybody has any questions for me. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, good. Now, because Chancellor Nan will have another commitment, so we would like Chancellor Nan to answer some question. In the case of a faculty member, you have Chancellor Nan. Are you there?
All right, I was there. Now I'm back. Can you hear me now, Dr. Lee?
Yeah, yes. It's ready for you.
Yeah,
You have plenty of time. So any faculty senator, any
I may have
questions?
a phone if this doesn't work.
Okay, we have Patrick, Senator Patrick. Did you have a hand, Patrick Macross? I know. Okay, so then Senator Maxson.
Yes, hi, Chancellor. I have one question. So, is Chancellor still here or? Hello, Chancellor, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go right ahead.
Yes. So we are actually in different colleges now trying to move to recruit permanent directors for the schools. Well, some of the schools, they still don't have approved paperwork. And we have seen, you know, some directives to use actually the former department's paperwork as guidance to recruit those directors. So do you see probably that we are rushing into recruiting directors that do not go with the vision of the university and also the vision of those new operating papers that we are drafting?
Yeah, I've talked with Dr. Lee about this as well as the folks in academic affairs. And I think we have held some of those director positions up until we get some of the new deans in place. I don't think, actually, I know we've done that in some areas, and we can continue to do that if we need to. So any feedback that you have, or Dr. Lee that you have going forward, we're working those plans out together. And so it won't be an administrative direct that says, here's what we're doing. I mean, we're going to have to do it together to make sure we don't have to redo anything later. So I do know we have held up a few until we can get some of those things done. I know that Mark is working on that as we speak. And so, yeah, I think that's a better way to go forward. So we're not having to do something all over again or without the support of the faculty.
Okay. And the second question, and I will stop here, it's about the program coordinators. So with the new merging, so what happened, you have old bodies that come together in certain programs with some new bodies. And of course, you have this culture of, I'm going to support you because you are one of my best friends, you know. And that actually has been used widely now in the university as what we call it as voting in blocks or block votings. I call it actually vote fixing, which is a kind of, you know, really bad. And if I understood very well, the whole reorg was actually to give a chance to those people that want, you know, to serve the university, to put their name forward and serve the university. And here we have a case, for example, in my own, you know, program of a lady that actually, you know, put her name, but because of that, I would call it vote fixing, she will not have a chance to serve. It seems to me like we get rid of department chairs, but we're establishing, you know, a culture of a new kingdom where if you're my buddy, then you're gonna have that position guaranteed. Well, we should be more inclusive for me, and we should give a chance to everybody. This way, anybody who's willing to serve will have at least that experience of 1 year. And if they want to pursue later, you know, an academic and administrative position, they will have that in their CV instead of having the same body serving over and over. And that's, to me, is the wrong approach for the university to move forward with this.
Totally agree with you. It's something that if it's not fair and it does not give everyone an opportunity, then it shouldn't go forward. And that should be brought up to the deans in the area that you're talking about. And if we can't get it resolved there, we have an ombudsperson now, Michelle Kibbe is going to be our person that looks into those types of things where folks have some grievances that may not rise to the level of a formal grievance, but it is something that will cause us to pause and take a look at. So, you know, we're putting some things in place to hopefully, you know, rid ourselves of some of what you just described, because it's just not a fair opportunity. So push that forward to those folks that I mentioned, and it won't die out, because we'll have to address that.
I thank you very much. And I did propose actually one of the best things, because you have programs now where, you know, one faculty will represent a mini program within the program. For me, a rotation would be the best way to go, where those faculty will rotate. And if somebody is not willing to serve, then somebody who would like to serve can put their name. And this will give an equal opportunity to everybody to serve, and nobody is going to be unhappy.
Yeah, please bring that forward and make sure we have that on the radar. I don't want to miss I don't want to miss on this call, you know, 2 weeks from now and nothing happens. So please forward that, even if you need to send it to me, and then I can work with the folks that are here so we can get it resolved.
I will follow on both for the directors and for the program coordinators with you, Chancellor. So I will follow with my dean first and keep him updated. And hopefully we can move forward to healthy SIU with our permanent directors and the rest. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor Nunn. Thank you, Senator Maxson. I know that we set a meeting with Associate Provost Mark Morris this Saturday with the the co-chair who would be approved by the faculty senate. So just FYI about the open paper. And before another question, I would like to ask our Vice President, Bethany Reeder, to announce the election results for the Faculty Senate Secretary. Bethany.
Thank you very much. Julie Tate is our new secretary. So congratulations, Julie, and welcome to the team.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. All right. Any question for Chancellor Nunn?
Dr. Lee, I just have a comment just about the graduation this past weekend. I would like to say how important that was, you know, as far as the posthumous degrees. I thought that was exceptionally wonderful for the family, very moving for everyone who was there. So thank you.
Thank you, Senator Jennifer. Okay, we have a question from Senator Joukowsky. Inan?
Thank you, Dr. Lee. So since my colleague, Dr. Schramik, isn't here, I would like to just ask Dr. Lane about where we are with our student numbers, and how do we compare where we are now to last year. We had quite an onslaught of graduates this past weekend, and so kind of curious about the incoming students to replace those graduates.
I know your voice a little bit low. I'm not
sorry,
sure
can
what.
you hear me? Can
I
you hear
did.
me?
I did hear that. I did hear you. Yes. No, I got everything. It came in a little spotty, but I got you. But before I answer that, let me just say, Jennifer, thanks to the faculty, the deans, there's a process that happens. So it's not just, the chancellor deciding that's a group effort. And I appreciate all of the folks in those categories I mentioned for moving so fast. And I'll just tell you, when you're up there with the loved ones or the folks who have had people pass on tragically, it is really devastating to hear, or to when you hug them, they're shaking, they're shivering, they're sad, and it's just a sad moment. But they always say how grateful they are to have this recognition. So thanks to everybody for making that happen. Elaine, just to your question there, I'm always cautiously optimistic, and the numbers that I'm seeing now make me even more cautiously optimistic because they're really good. Our applications are way up as compared to last year, just in an enormous way, and that feels pretty good to see that. Our admits are up as well, and that's very promising. But our real work is between now and the 10th class day. And so with only being 14 or so weeks out, we've got to yield those students. We've got to make sure that those students actually register with us. And so all of the orientations that you're starting to see pop up this month, June, July, August, will be strategic in terms of trying to get those students registered. So very promising numbers right now. We just heard a number today at our meeting this morning. We're up 40% in the Southern Illinois region. I mean, so you can see the numbers of students from the region who have decided to stay home. Now we've got to close the deal on those students. They've been admitted, but we've got to close the deal on them to get that freshman class that we want to exceed last year's freshman class, which was the highest we've had here in 5 years. So a lot of work, and my ask for the group that's out there now, we're going high touch. So if there's any way that you know of family and friends and relatives and legacy and anyone who's interested in SIU Carbondale, let us know, because now's the time to register those students and get them connected. So pretty positive right now, but we're still way out. We've got a lot of work still we have to do.
Thank you. We have another question from Senator Mike Eichelsz.
Hi, Chancellor Lane. I can't remember exactly how long it was ago now, but Susan Ford, when she was provost, did a analysis where she was trying to figure out who we were competing with for students. So basically, she got the data for the students that were admitted to SIU, but they didn't come to SIU. And it was pretty clear from those findings, we were competing with, not too surprising, University of Missouri, University of Kentucky, Purdue, Indiana. It wasn't the CMOs and Murray States we were really competing with. And I'm wondering if you guys are doing anything similar to that now to get a better understanding if that's changed or not. I think it might provide a lot of insight in how students are perceiving our university.
Yeah, that's a great question, Mike. We know exactly who we're competing with and who's not our competition. So we know that inside of our state, and we know that in our surrounding areas, not so much across the country, but in our surrounding region, states that border us. And we know exactly what their tuition is. We know exactly when their scholarships, what levels their scholarships are. We know exactly when they admit students, when they package students, what they're going after in terms of the programs they're trying to sell to students. So I think that's what's allowed us to gain some ground on some of those schools that used to take a lot of students from us. But one big factor of what's not mentioned in terms of who we're competing with are community colleges. Okay, so believe it or not, and I know that sometimes may be hard to believe, the student that gets accepted to an R2 high research university, but ends up going to Shawnee, or ends up going to Logan or Oakton or Harper or those other community colleges, Kaskaskia. So what we find is that upwards of 14% or so of our students that we admit are actually going to the community college. So if you're wondering why you're seeing a lot of pictures with us signing agreements with the Saluki Step Ahead, that's why. Because we know a good number of students we admit are unable to afford us. And so it's not that they don't want to come to the university, they can't always afford it. And they start out at the community colleges. And so our Saluki Step Ahead tries to capture those students in their third and fourth year. So you'll see us here in the future really focus our efforts on yielding more from the community college pipelines, trying to look at more adult student learners who are 90 plus degrees away from getting their bachelor's degree but need to finish up. So you'll see a lot more of activity for us doing that. We can't just rely on the traditional age students in the state over 5-10 years. The population in that population is declining. So not only is the overall population in our state declining, but even the college going population is declining. So we've got to look outside of our state for the traditional age students. Inside our state, we got to target the non-traditional adult learners. So a lot of efforts that are there. Wendell showed us a map today. We have students from every state in the United States except Wyoming. Okay, that's the only state we have no applicants from. And inside of our state, I think it's in the northwest corner of our state in the county that's up there, where we have none. So a lot of strategic efforts that are there, Mike, to your point. But there is a pretty large cluster on the community college side that we've got to tap into a little bit stronger.
Yeah, I was one of those transfer students, so I understand completely.
Yeah, you know it.
I know there are two hands here, and also, Provost Kumraj is here, and Chancellor Nan. I know you may have to leave in a few minutes. Would you like to sum up or wrap up before you leave, or you would like to answer their question first? What's your preference?
Yeah, I see Grant's hand up. It's hard for me to see on the phone, but just fire away, Grant. I'd rather answer some questions and give an update.
Okay.
No, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, Chancellor. I appreciate that. I really appreciate the focus that you're talking about as far as our transfers. Some of us are in units where, for instance, for us in the School of Education, 65% of our students are transfers because they start the teacher education program their junior year. But when we are going to these enrollment management and other types of workshops and all-day retreats, we keep on talking about freshman to freshman numbers. We're not looking at junior to junior. So as a result of our focus on transfers, will we be looking at that data? Because it appears that in some of the reporting that we're receiving, we keep on just focusing on our freshman class, not in other aspects of our enrollment and recruitment efforts, which are really truly focusing on transfer students for some of us, where it's almost as meaningful, if not more meaningful, for us to look at our juniors that we recruited this year compared to our juniors last year, and et cetera.
Yeah, Grant, the only thing that keeps me up at night really are transfer numbers, because I know that's the gold mine. And I'm not saying that looking at students as dollars. So I don't want to miscommunicate here. But I do know that there are a number of transfer students that we're missing on that we have to focus on, and we are. So within that strategic enrollment management plan, I agree. What gets a lot of the attention is this traditional age freshman coming from high school. That's probably always going to be the glamour attention. Hey, what do we look like with students coming out of high school? But we are laser focused still on the community colleges. As I mentioned, the Saluki Step Ahead, the partnership we have with Illinois Community College Board. Now we need to leverage that with programs like you just mentioned. We need to find a way to leverage that and possibly help those students financially get to us. And so, in the Saluki Step Ahead, it's $4,000 incentive in junior year, $4,000 in senior year. We can work with you. We just got $1 million donor that gave us money to help with the transfer population, right? So it's $1 million and there's more to come. So if you tell us you've got the capacity to do more when you're looking at transfer in your programs, just let us know that so we can help incentivize it by giving you even a cluster of dollars to help that out. So that's something we can do. We have the money to do it.
Thank you.
We have one more hand from Senator Maxson. Brief questions.
Yeah, a very brief one, actually. So, Chancellor, I would like first to thank you for your effort for promoting diversity and inclusion in SIU. But what we have seen, actually, most universities that were successful in the US doing that. So the way they evaluate any candidate from, going with coordinators, directors, deans, everything that you have within the university, is they will develop actually questionnaires for the duties, and you rank the candidate based on every one of those duties. For example, research, so you will rank the candidate based on research, based on teaching, based on extension, et cetera, and then the numbers are summed up to see how the candidate is doing for the overall. What we have seen here in SIU is still a vote of yes or no that are sent by SurveyMonkey, and then we decide, yes, the candidate is okay. So he had 20 votes versus, 10 votes. I really would like, our university, I've been here 26 years, and I really would like this university to move forward by being an example in the case of diversity and inclusion and developing those matrices that we can use to evaluate our candidates for every position that we are using.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think we have to reinvent the wheel. And I think you just cited some places that are really doing well in this space and have been able to be recognized for it. And I think that's really the beauty of having these conversations, is that we're not, we're not disregarding comments like you just made. I mean, we really want to dig in and find out, okay, well, who is doing it better than us? And are they getting better results? Are they a community of scholars, of folks that really are diverse and inclusive? And so, any of those types of suggestions, if you have models, share them with us so we can look at it. I know Paul Frazier, our Vice Chancellor of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, is doing just that. I mean, he is actually looking at other places so we can model a lot of what we want to accomplish in that space and have some better results. So we're wide open right now for doing that. And I think that, again, that's another good thing, is we're not set or stuck on what we have today, especially if it's not working.
Thank you, Chancellor Nan. And would you like to wrap up your comments?
Sure. I personally thank everyone on the call. And I'm back to Jennifer's comment. This is more so, or I'm sorry, Dr. Lee's comment. We did something that was really pretty cool. The administrative folks on the platform party at commencement were able to go down early, and I think it was a mistake. So on the first commencement, we went down before the faculty came out. And luckily, the faculty came right through the center of our line, and we high-fived and clapped, and I thought it was awesome. We did the same thing for the 1:30. We're going to make that a tradition, and I want to thank Dr. Lee and others on the call, because you answered the call. We had more faculty at this commencement. I was really, really glad to see the faculty that were there, and I loved when the students were coming off the ramp. We had certain faculty come out of their chairs and come right in the middle and high-five the student coming off the chair. I mean, doesn't get any better than that. And I'm telling you, when our Saluki alums see that out in the audience, when our visitors see that out in the audience, that's the kind of things that help turn the enrollment around, right? Because other folks who are in those stands say, hey, I want to be here and be involved in that. When I finished high school, I want to go to SIU. And so we've got to do that. And I don't want to just run by how exciting that was, because it's very exciting. The other thing, I want to thank everyone. We've had a long year, and it's been a tough year, probably one of the toughest years I've ever had in higher education, and really having to manage some of the tragic deaths that we've had. If you think back to August with our student Kishana Jackson, it feels like that was just yesterday. And then fast forwarding that to just a couple of weeks ago, a tragic car crash that killed 2 of our students and wounded some others. In addition to COVID, in the fall semester, trying to decide what to do there and having your input helped tremendously. And then deciding what we were going to do for spring. We had to move right into spring, and we were a little nervous about that. But here we are today, and I know that each of you have had to battle and go through a lot of things as well. And I appreciate you hanging in there. We are excited about our budget outlook. You heard from the FY 2022 budget that gives us about $3.8 million more that we have to spend between now and the end of the fiscal year this year. We're going to use a big chunk of those dollars to help pay the give back that everybody hates. It's when we have to repay ourselves to replenish what we borrowed from ourselves out of that reserve a couple of years ago. That will only have about 2 years of remaining. So when we could finally get away from that, we'll do even better. We have in fiscal year 2023 another $3.8 million that we're excited about. We're going to be proposing in July a 2% increase across the board for all employees. Again, we know that's obviously not going to get people up. We're not even really calling it a cost of living adjustment because we've been a couple of years without any raises. And so we've got to get that worked on. We are working on our salary survey. It's an internal equity survey. We've just completed the civil service category. We know exactly who's been paid or who should be paid, where they should be paid, how they compare to the market. We've just completed the A&P survey, and we'll be working on the faculty survey as well. And we know that, Dr. Lee, you guys have information that we're going to be utilizing in addition to that. So I anticipate when we get back in the fall, being able to really roll out a very transparent way where everyone fits within the university as it relates to internal equity. We know we have some folks who are not paid at the level where they should be, and others who just arrived are paid more than folks who've been here 15, 20 years. So there's some work that we have to do. We acknowledge that. Other than that, I hope everyone has a great summer. And again, stay well, stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor Nan. And we still have a few minutes. We have Provost Kumarajo here. Provost Kumarajo, do you have any updates for us or anything to wrap up?
Not really. This is the end of the semester, so we are hoping that all the grades will be turned in on time by Wednesday morning. That's my only sort of last plea to all our instructors. And in terms of the enrollment numbers, I'll pass them along to Josh so he can include them in the minutes. As someone mentioned, the transfer numbers is the category that is on-campus. Transfer numbers are the only group that's kind of like low in terms of the number of applications as well as the number of admitted students. So we are down about 11% for admitted on-campus transfers, and our applications are down 7%. However, our off-campus or online transfer numbers are up 13% in terms of applications, and admitted are up about 6%. So the on and off campus kind of sometimes gets neutralized, and our on-campus numbers sort of continue to increase after this end of the semester, because community college students sometimes wait for the end of the spring semester and then make a decision. So our numbers actually have been improving since maybe even 3 or 4 weeks ago, and they continue to improve till the start of the semester. In terms of graduate students, our applications are up 25%, but our admissions are down 17%. And we have kind of discussed it a little bit at a prior meeting in terms of why that might be so. It could be we may not have as much capacity to accept all the students. It could be that some of them may not be meeting the admission criteria, and it could be that some programs are still making those decisions. Sometimes we use our GA budget more for continuing students than to admit new ones. Sometimes that could be one of the small variables, but altogether, it might explain why our admissions are down. So that's pretty much it, Dr. Lee.
Okay, thank you, Provost Kumarajo. You are going to send us some data by email, right?
Yeah, I'll do that. I send it every time to Josh. I'll just go ahead and send it to him.
Thank you. Well, we're going to move on unless you have a question for Provost Kumarajo. Otherwise, we're going to move to the next item on the agenda. That means, okay, meeting schedule and update. If you have no more question for Provost Kumarajo. Okay. Seems to be no hands. Now, item 6A, we need to approve the faculty senator and faculty senator executive council schedule. That means meeting schedule in 2022-2023, which was approved by last Tuesday. Just briefly, but subject to the faculty senator to approve, we need a motion. And second, then we're going to vote. So you have 2 sets of the schedule, right? Okay. Do you have any question about the meeting schedule? If not, we're going to have a motion, please. Anyone to move it?
I move it.
Anyone second? Okay, Senator Denana second. So we're going to have a voice vote. Bethany, are you ready?
I am ready. All right, this is for approval of the meeting schedule for this upcoming year.
Yes, 2 sets.
Mike Eccles,
Yay.
Khalid Maxim,
Yes.
myself, yay. Li Ching Wang,
Yeah.
Scott Gilbert,
Yay.
Michael Hyland,
Yay.
Elaine Jerkowski. I think you're frozen, Elaine.
Oh,
Oh, I can hear you.
yeah. My picture is freezing. I might change over to my phone
Okay,
because,
Gee.
but yes, please.
okay, sure. Thank you. Yu-Ting Lee,
Yeah, yes.
Stacy McKinney,
Yay.
Jennifer Sherry,
Yay.
Grant Miller,
Yay.
Ying Chen,
Yay.
Farhan Chaudhry,
Yay.
Arash Kumai. Arash Kumai. Okay. Rolando Gonzalez Torres.
Yay.
And I apologize for messing up your name earlier. Sung Hee Lee. Yay. Walter Metz,
Yay.
Patrick McGrath,
Yay.
Jeffrey Punsky, and Joe Shremick, I believe are not here. Lorelei Ritchie,
Yay.
Eric Black. Eric Black. Elizabeth Dalala,
Yay.
Diana Sarko,
Yay.
Amy Bro,
Yay.
Robert Bloomfield,
Yay.
Amanda Pangrazio,
Yay.
Mike Phillips,
Yay.
Julie Tate,
Yay.
and Sherry Watson. Yay. Thank you very much. The motion passes.
Thank you. The next one on the agenda, 6B, and we have 2 professors here, Professor Ann Fletcher and Professor Ed Piñez. Would you like to give us some update? I know last year our faculty senator status welfare committee passed resolution to support the case, and Ann and Ed, are you here?
Yes, and I can start. Can you hear me okay? Thanks for the chance to speak to the Senate today, and I appreciate, on behalf of Dr. Zhao, those senators who voted support in favor of the resolution of support for Ming last fall. His trial took place in Benton, Illinois, over the last 2 weeks, and we were able to arrange anywhere between 16 and 30 supporters to attend the trial. The trial had a mixed result, and so I'm here to explain a few things to you because you are not getting correct information from the local press. There was not a single reporter who attended a single minute of the trial. I was there for every minute of the trial, except for about 2 hours when I had to come back to Carbondale and conduct the Tchaikovsky Symphony. Otherwise, I was there for about 7 days. The bottom line, which you don't see from the local press, is that Dr. Zhao was acquitted of all 3 charges related to grant fraud, related to SIU, and related to anything he had to do with his job at SIU. And I'll explain this. In December of 2020, Two FBI agents came unannounced to his house and conducted a 2.5-hour interview with Dr. Zhao. They did not read him his Miranda rights, and they surreptitiously recorded the interview. In fact, they used a ruse to get into his home and tell him they were exploring an immigration problem. They interviewed him for 2.5 hours, and in that interview, even though he did not know he was being recorded, he was completely transparent and expressed everything, all the facts that I've expressed to you in previous meetings, that he didn't do anything wrong, that he disclosed his ties with Chinese universities, specifically Shenzhen University, and that he did not receive a grant from China. Lost my train of thought. That was in December. After 2.5 hours, 10 armed federal agents came into his house and executed a search warrant, confiscating his phones and his computers. In April of last year, the government filed a 3-count indictment alleging 2 counts of wire fraud and 1 count of making a false statement. At the trial judge, Judge Yandel, Federal District Court in Benton, dismissed at the end of the prosecution's case, dismissed the 2 wire fraud counts, did not even let those counts go to the jury. So there was no evidence of wire fraud, and there was no evidence that he failed to disclose a Chinese affiliation or that he had a Chinese grant and failed to disclose that to NSF. The jury considered that 3rd count, which was making a false statement, and the jury verdict was not guilty on that. That was in April of last year, was the indictment. Subsequent to that indictment, Ming amended his taxes, and in amending 3 years of taxes, he declared that he had a foreign bank account, and he filed an FBAR, foreign bank account report. After amending his taxes and after filing an FBAR, in October, on the eve of trial last October, the government filed a superseding indictment in which they added 4 tax charges. 3 of those charges are failing to disclose a foreign bank account in 3 tax years, 2017, 18, 19, and failing to file an FBAR. Now, he was found guilty by the jury of those 4 counts, and those 4 counts have nothing to do with his job at SIU. What he was doing with Shenzhen University, he was doing on behalf of SIU. He went there to recruit students. In fact, he did recruit students. His work at Shenzhen appeared on Bhaskar Bhattacharya's CV. He was chair of math at the time as an accomplishment for the department. The FBI, as part of the China Initiative, is supposed to be looking for intellectual property theft and espionage. There was no allegation of espionage. There was no allegation of intellectual property theft. It became down to simply to grant fraud, and of those 3 charges, he was acquitted. The tax charges were added on top. And let me say something about the tax charges. The jury deliberated for 2 hours in this case, following closing arguments. One of the pieces of evidence in the case, which I heard the entire bit from, was a 1-hour recording from that 2.5-hour recording with the FBI. In that recording, Dr. Zhao stated 15 times to the FBI agents that a bank account in Shenzhen, which Shenzhen University required him to set up in his name, that he did not consider those funds his, that those funds were solely to reimburse him for expenses for traveling to Shenzhen 2 weeks a year. And he only made 3 trips to Shenzhen. And those expenses, so that money sat in a bank account because of the pandemic. He wasn't able to go back, and he did not use it over and over and over. He told the FBI that he did not consider that to be his money. Therefore, the government was not able to prove the element of the tax charges that he willfully intended to defraud the United States government. He very clearly did not consider that. And after he met with the FBI, then he subsequently amended his taxes. Where things stand right now, unfortunately, he's a convicted felon. He's convicted of 4 tax charges that have nothing to do with his work at SIU. His attorneys have about another 26 days, and they will file a motion for judgment notwithstanding the verdict. So they'll file a motion with Judge Yandel to vacate the jury's judgment on those 4 tax counts. If that fails, then there will be an appeal. Dr. Zhao remains on paid administrative leave from SIU. Last year, Governor Pritzker signed an amendment to the Illinois Human Rights Act, which stated that an employer cannot make an adverse employment decision based on a criminal conviction that has nothing to do with the employee's job unless there are concerns of public safety. This is exactly the situation that we have here. I would ask and may ask for more formal action at some point that the Faculty Senate work to allow Dr. Zhao to continue in his job at SIU. I know the Faculty Association has made a very strong statement of support for Dr. Zhao, and I'll pass it over to Ann Fletcher for that. And then after Ann speaks, I'm open for any questions if you have them.
Go ahead, Ann.
Thank you, Ed. Ed is a far more well-informed spokesperson on this case, although I have read reams of material. And I wanted to come to the Senate today to assure you that the Faculty Association continues to support Ming in the disciplinary action that SIU has taken. As Ed said, Ming remains on paid administrative leave. We continue to believe that his conviction on those counts has nothing to do with his efficacy as a professor. We argued this with the administration in December as well. Perhaps what you don't know about the Faculty Association and the Illinois Education Association is that Ming has excellent representation from an Illinois Education Association attorney with whom we work closely. We're going to continue to urge the administration to drop their disciplinary action, and we're in consultation on that right now. So that's what I have from the Faculty Association. And if you want to fire questions at Ed and less complex questions at me, I'm still here.
Thank you very much, Professor Fletcher, Professor Pinez. Question, comments for them?
And a shameless plug for union representation.
Yeah, well, there's a one hand.
There's
Mike?
Hi, Ed. I just want to thank you for providing this information. I guess my real question is, do you see anything that you would like us to do now? I mean, when I look at this, it terrifies me because I think if somebody wanted to, they could probably charge me with the exact same counts that they charged most of what they charged him with. And
that's exactly right, Mike. And actually, I've learned since the guilty verdict on failure to report a foreign bank account, he's probably not the only foreign-born professor that has a foreign bank account that doesn't get reported. So I appreciate your question, and I think we work pretty successfully with Scott Comparato and the committee of welfare. I can't remember who else on that committee.
Jennifer faculty. Sherry, yes.
Jennifer Sherry, yeah, we appreciate that, Jennifer. And I'll work with you, Ting, I guess. This case has national recognition. There are national organizations that are aware of what's going on, APA Justice, the 80/20 Foundation. Don't forget, the guy spent $350,000 on legal fees, and the bills are still coming in. That doesn't even count the trial. Doesn't count flying in the attorneys, putting them in a hotel for 3 weeks during this trial. So the legal fees are massive. We need help. There's a GoFundMe page if anybody wants to go. GoFundMe, just Google Ming Zhao GoFundMe. And I think we certainly will be coming before the Faculty Senate with regard to trying to allow Ming to keep teaching and doing what he loves and what he does best, which is teaching young students.
Thank you. I think very important to think about this. In this situation, especially involve research, and everybody is vulnerable. I think we need to, at least as a faculty member, as faculty senators, we need to understand the situation, show our support for our colleagues. Any other question, comments for Ann and Ed? Well, and as you know, we're going to have still, I think, a Faculty Status Welfare Committee and we will have more work to do. This is a continuing case, and we are going to coming back to have more information. We may need to, we will need our faculty member, faculty senator to examine it and possibly get more support. Okay, if I have no more questions, no more comments for Ed and Anne, I want to thank you so much, Professor Fletcher, Professor Piñas. I acknowledge it in my report. And you two are strongest advocate for our faculty members, especially involved Min's case, which is relevant to all of us, especially if you are a researcher, you obviously everybody need to return the tax or whatever. So that's important for us to know. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the next item on agenda, the report. And executive committee report, in fact, I reported, I will skip it. And also election committee, and we have done it. So we will skip it. And congratulations to the election of our faculty senator secretary and Junie Tate. Okay, and committee on committee. Now, it's your platform to certify all the chairs and co-chairs, Inan and Sung-Hee Lee. Are you there?
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Lee. Can you hear me okay? All right, great. All right, so Sung-Hee and I have spent the last couple of weeks working on these committees and affirming committee chairs. And today we bring to you the committee chairs that have been elected and affirmed by their specific committees. The UEPC committee co-chairs are Joseph Schrammick and Walter Metz, who will serve as co-chairs. The budget committee co-chairs are Farhan Chowdhury and Michael Eichholz. The faculty senate and welfare committee co-chairs will be Scott Gilbert, Jennifer Sherry. And then lastly, our governance committee chairs, Patrick McGrath and Khalid Mexam, will serve as co-chairs. Now, I'm very pleased to report that we had 29 senators vote, and of those 29, we had 100% participation. We had one senator abstain from voting, and the remaining 28 all voted in support of the faculty chairs that were proposed. So I would like to make a motion to approve the faculty, our committee chairs as presented.
Anyone second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to have a voice vote. Bethany, are you ready?
I am ready. So this is a vote to approve the chairs for the standing committees.
Chairs, co-chairs of
Yes.
committees.
Mike Eichholz.
Yay.
Khalid Mexam.
Yay.
Myself, yay. Lee Chang Wang.
Yeah.
Scott Gilbert.
Yay.
Michael Hyland.
Yay.
Elaine Jakowski.
Yay.
Yu-Ting Lee.
Yeah.
Stacy McKinney.
Yay.
Jennifer Sherry.
Yay.
Grant Miller, I believe, is if he's still on, but I believe he has left. Okay. Yin Cheng.
Yay.
Thank you. Farhan Chowdhury.
Yay.
Arash Komai. All right. Alando Gonzalez Torres.
Yay.
Sung-Hee Lee.
Yay.
Walter Metz.
Yay.
Patrick McGrath.
Abstain.
Laura Lee Ritchie.
Yay.
Eric Black. Elizabeth Dalala.
Abstain.
Diana Sarko.
Yay.
Amy Bro.
Yay.
Robert Broomfield.
Yay.
Amanda Pancrazio,
Yay.
Mike Phillips,
Aye.
Julie Tate,
Yay.
and Cherry Watson.
Yay.
The motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations to those chairs and co-chairs. Thank you. Yinan and also Sung Kitty for your hard work with different committees. Thank you so much. Okay, now the next one, undergraduate education policy committee. I know Dr. Joe Schramek is traveling, and the new elected chair is Waldo Mates. And also, as you may be aware, Dr. Joe Schramek is going to take sabbatic in spring, and we are going to have we're going to elect someone very soon to cover Dr. Joe Schramek in the spring when he takes sabbatics. And I know one of the candidates who expressed the interest, Professor Rolando Gonzalez, and in the future, we need to process this. Just FYI, that's UEPC. Any question, comments from the UEPC? I know the conics. Any question there? Or? I know UEPC will have a much paperwork process. I know in the summer, it's quite, I'm sure, you know, we will have a proposal, IME come soon, but we will not process it until September, just heads off. Okay, budget committee, and the elected new chair is Dr. Michael Echols and Dr. Fahim Chowdhury. Anything?
I'll just say that Farhan is going to be on sabbatical in the fall, so I'm going to serve as the representative for the University Budget Committee from the Faculty Senate. We've been in contact with the past chairman to identify any issues that are carrying over from last year. We've received those, and I'll just mention that, of course, one of them will be taking on is the one that the Chancellor mentioned earlier today, the equity and pay and salary compression here at the university.
Good, thank you. Any question, comments for this committee, budget committee? I know there was one memo which I sent to you guys, the previous, at least previous senator. You guys hopefully will have a discussion.
Yep, we got that memo, and it'll be something we'll address.
Good, thank you. And faculty status welfare committee and the new elected chair, Jennifer Sherry and Scott Gilbert. I know just now both Professor Binez, Edward Binez, and I'm Felicia presented Min Xiao's case, and you guys may need to work on that in addition to COVID-19 cases.
Yes, we actually will be in contact with those involved with this to get this moving in the right direction, hopefully. And another thing that has been kind of going through the cycle of events is the Faculty Senate operating paper, where we had the changes on membership that actually is going to be signed by Chancellor Lane and approved. And then I appreciate the update on Dr. Zhao's situation because it's very enlightening. It's very true what Dr. Binez said. It's been very interesting on how this was all framed in the media. And so we will continue to work, Scott Gilbert and myself and the committee, on representing the faculty status and welfare. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Jennifer Sherry and also Scott Gilbert. Now, the governance committee, the new elected co-chairs, Professor Patrick Macross and Professor Kanit Maxim. I know tomorrow we're going, actually on Thursday, we're going to have a meeting with Mark Morris, Associate Provost Mark Morris, about opening the paper. So you guys, any update or any information?
Yes, in fact, I have one question to my fellow senators here. So we have seen actually, colleges moving with, hiring their permanent directors without using the operating papers and going back to electing actually some of their former departments, operating papers. Are you all in support of actually waiting until the operating papers has been approved for a school to name actually or to hire the school directors, or are you in favor of moving with the old papers to get the permanent directors in place?
Thank you. Any question? Any of you can answer this question, or this is open to all of us?
I can only speak to our school, of course, but we are moving forward, and for one very specific reason is because the interim's one task was to complete the operating papers, and it's been 3 years now, and he has completed that. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for us to sit around and wait for our operating papers to be completed before we hire a permanent replacement. So I really think it shouldn't be a policy-wide issue. It should be up to each school or each college within that college on how they move forward.
Thank you, and thank you for your comments or response, Senator Michael Echols, and also I saw a hand from Senator Mates.
So I agree that it should wait. It was announced to us in an email that a permanent director search was occurring without our knowledge. I asked my faculty colleagues if they knew a permanent director search was happening, and they said no. And so I got an email from the chancellor a week ago that the searches had been canceled. But I feel the process of this was abysmal. And it's absolutely crucial that for our College of Arts and Media, we're hiring a new dean. And it would seem preposterous to me to hire a director without even the new permanent dean having input. But it did take some doing to keep this from happening.
Thank you, Walter. Any other question, comments for Governance Committee? Okay, if not, we're going to move to Vice Chancellor of Research, Dr. Gary Kinzel. Are you here, Gary?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I think I'll keep my comments fairly brief. One thing I wanted to mention is some good news that I hope, I'm not sure how many people have seen this. I know at least probably a few of you have, but it's worth repeating, I think. Just to give you a rundown on our Q3 grants, external grants and contracts funding levels. So in Q3, so that would be through the end of March, we had about 90 proposals submitted, which is very similar to what we had the previous Q3. That puts the total for through Q3 for this year about 272 proposals submitted, as compared with 249 over the same period of time last year. So that's about a 9% increase, which is always good because you don't get money if you don't ask for money. More importantly, the awards received in Q3 were about $7.2 million. That does not count the $9.3 million of CARES fund that we received. I personally don't count that, even though it does get recorded in the same box of funds coming into the university. The 7.2 million is truly grants and contracts. That can be compared with Q3 of last year, which was about $7.4 million. But if you take and add everything up from Q1 through Q3, so far this year, we've brought in just under $60 million, $59.8 million. And if you recall last year, for the entire year, through Q3, we brought in $46.1 million. So far through Q3, we're up about 30%. And in fact, through the entire year last year, we brought in about $61 million. So we're almost already at that level through Q3. And if we do as well in Q4 as we did last year in Q4, which was about another $15 million, it would put us up somewhere close to $75 million of external grants and contracts. So that would be an excellent outcome. Actually, $75 million of grants and contracts is about the highest number that we've had in at least the last 9 years. So that's a very positive trend and a very something that everybody I think should feel very good about and sort of pat yourselves on the back in a sense. So that's the report on the grants and contracts. Just a couple other quick things to mention. Some of you may recall a couple of years ago, we held a research expo in the fall. It was kind of the bookend to the research forum. Then COVID came along and sort of put a stop to that. But we're going to try to re-implement the Research Expo, the Student Creative Activity and Research Expo. So it's SCARE is the acronym. And the current plan is to hold that on September the 20th, which is a Tuesday. And here's an opportunity for any department, any faculty member, any research unit, any center who wants to put something together and put it in the student center and show students what opportunities there are for them to participate in undergraduate research, creative activity. This will be an opportunity for them to set up a booth, a table, or whatever. And I see this as an important sort of, like I said, bookend to the overall efforts that we make here at SIU to get our students involved in research and creative activities. So put that on your calendar. And if you know other folks who might want to make a presentation, please let them know about this so that they can be prepared to participate. Finally, there will be a call for proposals sometime this summer from the SIU system. This is the annual collaborative grant for health-related research. That proposal requires that there be faculty from at least 2 of the 3 system institutions. And it is, of course, health-related research, but it's a nice award. And so if you've got a colleague at another system school and there's some health-related research that you think you are interested to pursue, please keep your eye open for that call for proposals. As I said, it'll come out sometime in the summer, and it's usually due in the early part of September. So I'd like to give you some advance warning because you may have to find a colleague at another system school that you want to try to work with. So those are really the 3 announcements that I wanted to make. Of course, I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has them.
Thank you, Dr. Gary Kinzel. Any question, comments for Gary? Okay, Senator Jennifer Sherry, you have a question?
Hi, Dr. Kinzel. I just had a question on, and I don't know if you can answer this, but please forgive me if I'm kind of going out of turn here, but is there any plan to hire in OSPA? Because I know they're very short-staffed right now, and trying to get grant proposals moved through is somewhat challenging. And so I just wanted to kind of get an update on that if you have the opportunity to update us. Thank you.
Sure. Well, you are certainly correct. Staffing deficiencies are in numbers, not in capability, but in numbers is certainly a concern. Let's see, to put a little historical note on this, when I started at one point, we were down to a grand total of 8 people in OSPA, and that was a ridiculously small number. Now we have gotten it back up to 12 at this point, although a couple of those are part-timers. And there is positions approved to add a couple of more people. So we're trying to get 4 folks in the pre-awards area. Some of you know Ashley and Kelly, of course. We've added 1 new person. We thought we had another one, but he didn't stay very long. He left after a week. So we have to now re-advertise and try to get another person in. But the goal is to have 4 people in the pre-awards area. The post-awards grant accounting is pretty well staffed at this point. We are trying to add another person to the central office administration to help out with the record keeping and just the basic processing. So if everything goes according to plan, we should be able to get that staff level up to about 15 total but that does include 3 part-time people. So is that enough? I mean, it is what my budget will accommodate at the present time. In my mind, it really is still a little bit short. It probably ought to be up closer to 17 or 18 people. So does that help? Does that answer the question?
Yes, thank you. It just kind of goes along with your report on, the grant numbers, and the grant numbers are up and proposals are up and everything. So I just wanted to kind of address that because that does affect how many proposals can move forward. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Agreed. We are, one other thing to mention, we are looking at investing in some software, something from a company called Koali. Actually, we have gotten approval to purchase that. It is for the pre-award side. And once that software is installed and folks are trained on how to use it, it should facilitate the whole submission process quite a lot. So.
Well, I think the next one on the screen, that means myself, I raise my hand as a faculty senator. Basically, the question I want to ask is that I did a presentation to a group of retired faculty members. They asked me the question why SIUC does not have a technology transfer director to deal with technology transfer in intellectual property. So I said, I need to ask Gary. Oh, that's the first time I just asked the question they asked me. So maybe you can give us some update. Or
Sure. We have a technology transfer director who operates at the system level. That would be Rob Patino. He is in charge of technology transfer throughout the system.
But not on campus here.
Well, the person on campus here is Dan Ashbaugh. Dan helps with the disclosures and the review of CDAs, the material transfer agreements and things like that, the non-disclosure agreements. He also helps with the review of provisional patents applications. So Dan Ashbaugh although he is an employee of the system, he is on our campus and he is in the offices over in Woody. And he is the person here on this campus who works in that area.
Do you think that our budget is now a separate person rather than the one working for the system, or?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite follow the question.
Do you think that the SIU, our campus, should have a separate director to take care of the technology transfer, patents, other issues, or?
Well, we certainly are in need of more legal trained individuals to support the overall operations. There's a lot of things. One of the real big areas, and some of the folks on this call or this Zoom are aware of this, one of the big bottlenecks that we run into has to do with contracts. Contracts that have to be negotiated with various companies or private funding agencies, or and even contracts that end up relating to intellectual property and so on. It is a unfortunately slow process, and I'm not here to point fingers, but it is a process that is slowed down by the fact that it has to go outside of our office to be processed. And the other elements on the university that work on that have a very significant delay in their process. Yes, it would be nice if we could have someone in our office who could help with contracting and all the other aspects that go along with technology transfer. I would not disagree with that.
Thank you. The next one is Senator Maxson, Carnegie Maxson.
Yes, hi, Dr. Kinzel, how are you?
Good.
A question, actually. It's good when you receive that letter that your grant has been funded, but we all live through a nightmare. From the time you receive that letter to the time that your budget purpose is actually established and you start hiring the people and everything, sometimes it takes 6-7 months or more. I have actually one time where it took 9 months for this. And this is actually something that could be corrected very, very quickly. There are many people that are not familiar with the process of advance accounts. And maybe if you can do something about sharing with our deans and our directors and everybody down, that those advance accounts can be established very easy. So that's number one. Number two, you do have some people actually that just do not care. the paperwork will sit on their offices and they just don't care. And you email them and you tell them, hey, I have somebody who does have a family and they have to feed this family, and they don't care. They're so selfish. How can you move those people, or trade them, or maybe, motivate them? Do you have any suggestions?
Well, gee whiz. Yeah. Maxim, I mean, Khalid, I know what you're talking about. It is one of these situations where if our offices or the sponsored projects office is working the way they should, that request for an account to be set up should go out from our folks very quickly. And I think it typically does. It then gets held up because we don't actually, as it currently stands, we don't actually create the budget purpose. That is created by central accounting. And I think we have encountered situations where that has been one of the bottlenecks. You are correct. The advance account is one way to sort of circumvent that delay. And I accept your comment that we should do a better job of trying to let people know about that option. And it does require a dean to sign off on it and a school director, and to acknowledge that if for some crazy reason this grant falls through, then I'm going to pick up the costs, whatever they happen to be. And sometimes there's some reluctance on that part, but it is certainly one mechanism to get the money flowing even before the central accounting budget purpose has been set up. And I will, as I say, I will take under advice your comment that we should try to educate across campus more about this as an option.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We will have one more question from Senator Richard.
Hi. Yes, thank you. So I just wanted to kind of, I don't know, maybe comment, question, and perhaps be able to offer some help here. I'm a professor in the law school. It happens that my main areas of research and teaching are contract and intellectual property. It also happens that I worked previously in technology transfer. I was the intellectual property manager at UCLA for a few years there. And I'm not offering myself, but I have students who are very interested in working in intellectual property and contracts. I've been in touch with Robert Patino, and I actually do have one student that we're, I don't know, maybe piloting this in a way this summer. I have a student who's going to be working with the office here in Carbondale this summer. And this student is extremely excited about doing this. And I think if we could ramp this up, I could get more students, more help to the office, since you're mentioning, Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, that it would be good to have more legal support, more legal help. So I guess what I'm saying is I think it would be great. It would be good for the law school, honestly. Like I said, I'd be happy to sort of help how we can. We also have a director of working with experiential learning to sort of supervise students. So I could work with them, she could work with them to sort of help to supervise this. But to the extent that like we could make this something that helps the university, helps these other professors here. And again, like it's good for the law school, it's good for the students as well. So I'd be happy if we can further that program out. Please, feel free to contact me if there's anything I can do, and I will absolutely look into it further and continue working with the tech transfer office to see if we can do more.
No, I very much appreciate that offer, and I will certainly put your name down. And I think there's an opportunity for a follow-up conversation about this. We've had some good experiences with graduate students. For example, we brought in some of the graduate students from the business program to help with grant accounting. And it's been a great opportunity for them to really see how that works, right? There may be similar opportunities as you're suggesting involving students from the law school in the contract review and so on and so forth. I think a follow-up conversation is probably the best way to go from here.
Thank you very much, Senator Richard. Thank you very much, Vice Chancellor Gary Kinzel. Now, we would like to move to the next item on the agenda. Faculty Advisory Council to IBHE, Senator Ni Chang Wang, Professor Wang.
Yeah, good afternoon. I don't have anything to report. I will report the next one. We had no meetings since our last Faculty Senate meeting. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Okay, so Graduate Council representative, we have, okay, yes, Greg.
Hi, everyone. At our last meeting, we approved 4 resolutions. The first was an RME to rename and reduce concentrations in the MS in geography and environmental resources, partially in response to reorganization. The second was to create post-baccalaureate graduate certificates in accountancy. These certificates can be stacked and potentially used to become a master's degree if desired. The third one had to do with multiple changes in workforce education programs. This one was perhaps the most complex, but essentially it had to do with responding to reorganization. And it included renaming workforce education and development to organizational learning, innovation, and development, as well as discontinuing some specializations while adding some new ones. The fourth RME was to merge, relocate, and rename some of the doctoral degrees in the School of Education and the School of Human Sciences. This also had to do with reorganization. We did return 1 resolution to the Committee on New Programs for clarification and correction. That had to do with the elimination of the MSED in special education and had to do with correcting some information on the RME. Finally, we had elections, which involved me becoming the new grad council chair. And we were not successful in electing a new vice chair at this point, but we will do so early in the fall so that you have your representative from our body. Thanks.
Thank you, Greg. Any question for Professor Greg Gingrich, Phil Brooks? Any question, comments for him? If not, the next one is the Idaho Committee on Institutional Ranking Education Quality. I know the co-chair, Dr. Joe Shramek is traveling, and Senator Mike Heining is here, and also Inan and me, myself, Mike. Would you like to say a few, Dr. Mike?
Yeah, sure thing. We've just kind of concluded our semester, our first semester really kind of meeting. The committee was kind of put forth in December. Joe and myself chose to co-chair with Elaine working with us closely. Throughout the semester, we've had several meetings with. I'm not going to kind of give you the whole rundown, take up everyone's time because there's a lot here in our draft. But the short and quick of it is we kind of we're looking at the U.S. News and World Report from 2021, the college ranking formula, and we chose to focus on the graduate retention or graduation and retention rates, social mobility, and rate performance because it made up the most of the score. We collectively decided that we should kind of look at how this number was derived, and we had some kind of setbacks, of course, due to the weather this semester. But we met with a couple different individuals. For instance, the Vice Chancellor for Enrollment Management, Mr. Wendell Williams. He talked to us about how they tally graduation rates and retention, how we fare well with Pell Grant studies. We were able to gain access to Compass, which is a service offered by U.S. News and World Report, so we can kind of better understand this ranking scheme and how we can maybe improve upon this at the time. We also we met with the director of institutional research and his staff as well. This is the data that goes into our SIUC fact book and the data that actually is presented to the U.S. News report. We were actually kind of surprised that they put a lot of these things or compile these things, and a lot of times that they weren't sure if people even looked at some of this in particular, which was a bit of a surprise. So this was actually pretty informative for me. The last meeting we had with someone where we had a speaker come in to our meeting was with Sam Bandy, who is the director of the international partnerships here at the Center of International Education. They explained the various recruitment and retention factors as they pertain to international students as well. We recently had our final meeting where we resolved to kind of put together this preliminary report and continue our work with the institutional research and we're kind of give further directions or future directions where we're looking to go in the fall is looking more at how they compile the numbers for academic reputation, the faculty resources as well, kind of going forward. Elaine, if you'd like to add anything that I might have missed or summed a little too quickly.
Okay. Well, I think you did a very good job in reporting this. I know, this committee has been working very hard. They almost meet every other week. And we're now in the middle of putting together the report. I know both Dr. Josh Remick, Dr. Heinen, the co-chair of this committee. I really appreciate their excellent work, especially Joe, his leadership. And once the report is ready, they're going to send to the faculty senate for report. Send the faculty senate, we send the report to the faculty senate to ask you guys for input. So pretty much that's it. Elaine, you want to add something?
The only thing that I would like to add is that we have had some student representation on the committee through the undergraduate student government. They appointed one of their senators. And so, I think that the good thing about that is that it's not just faculty driven, but it's a partnership with students as well.
I'd like that. It was nice to include him on the committee, just kind of get more perspective of what is actually happening here at the university.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Any question, comments for this committee before we move on? Okay. If not, we're going to move to number 8, old business. So our next faculty senate meeting in July, almost majority of faculty members will be off contract. I think it would be nice to meet by Zoom. Some of them may be traveling. So unless you have objection, and then in July, we're going to discuss the platform, the format of a meeting in September in the fall. So would that be okay with you, our meeting in July by Zoom? Okay. Seems to be okay with a few by nonverbal behavior. Okay, good. So new business announcement. So any new business announcement? Okay, if not, so we're about 22 minutes early, and if you like, either we can sit in here to making jokes, or we're going to have a motion to join the meeting. Whatever you want. What's your preference?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
With the hands. Thank